Shit, man. Hold on, let's do a status check. Make sure I'm actually live. Check 1 2 1 2 3. Check. Are we back? Let's check the chat room. Oh, these motherfuckers. Oh, okay, we're good now. Hell yeah. All right. So, where were we? Spooky music aside. We were doing a 2-for-1 podcast. We were just finishing up with the Ice Spice Satanic chain theory. And we transitioned over to the Olympics being evil. And we did that by showing the fact that Snoop Dogg was wearing a Baphomet chain at the Olympics, right? Before I got taken down. So let's get back to that. And I'll open the chat. For some reason my chat's busted now. But I'll open it up on a second app here on the iPad. Make sure I can still see you guys. Let's see. So, yeah. We were on Snoop here. Snoop D-O-double-G. And we were talking about the fact that he was wearing this Baphomet chain at the Olympics. And we were talking about how evil the Olympics were. We're not going to get into the trans boxer because that's irrelevant. I feel like that's a distraction story. So, that being said, let me just pull up the chat here so I can see you guys. Okay, cool. And we pulled up an interview where Snoop was wearing the chain. Do a quick little recap. And I'm not sure why I got taken down, to be honest. It must have been some kind of community guidelines violation. Because that's the only time they ever take my stream down, is if I'm doing something like that. So you can see we were talking about Snoop when Valor God brought up the point that at the Olympics he was sitting down next to a famous person.
Mike, he got a new name. His name is Augie Doggy.
That girl. And he knew the name of that girl. Let me look back at the chat here and see what it was. Anyways, yeah. Damn. I don't know. Something's wrong with my damn chat. But, yeah, we were talking about this. Snoop wearing the Baphomet, hanging out with white girls at the Evil Olympics. Shortly after that, I pulled up this video to kind of get into what makes the Olympics evil, and that's when I got taken down. I won't play it again. What I'm going to do is just kind of show you guys the images of the books that we were looking at. So there's this whole evil intro with like heads and shit, and Gojira the band is playing, and they got evil, visuals. And I was making the point that they're doing this because, for aesthetics, right? It's not really evil. It's for aesthetics. That's what the argument is. So let's take a closer look at what's going on here. So we got some weird pole vaulting weirdness going on, and then we get into the books. So basically, there are these weird shots of people in a library, and they all look like androgynous, like they them characters, gender dysphoria head asses. And this one's right here, some of the titles of the books, right? So but that's what I wanted to look at first, because this is like the first images that they give us of the Olympics, right? This is what they want to first show us. So I had a high interest in like, what is that, you know? So you can see some of that stuff there. More pole vaulting. And then we got more books up here at the library. We have a few more books that they kind of just like very quickly just like pull out of the library, kind of show us that they're reading them, kind of pull them out like this and kind of make the cover like in the shot with the camera, like real careful to bring it into the shot so you can kind of make it out, right? So there's a lot of these texts that they're pulling out. Here's another one. Les Amounts Magnifiques. And earlier I actually played the video. I'm guessing that could have been what triggered my copyright. Got my video taken out. I hope I don't get a strike. I probably got a strike. Yeah, so they're throwing these books all in the air. They're doing their weird pole vaulting. You get the point. It's France. So I wanted to look into what those books are, right? So let's take a quick look. Actually, let's fix my chat. Bear with me 1 second. I'm gonna just go find my chat real quick. Where is the chat? Here is the chat. Okay, cool. In case I need to access it. So yes, what are some of the other evil things that we saw? Let's look at the books. The first book translated is called Sex and Lies. So it's a nonfiction book in English, so not translated. Oh no, just this particular one being sold is a translation. And let's look at what the book entails. In these essays, Layla Slimani gives voice to young Moroccan women who are grappling with a conservative Arab culture that at once condemns and commodifies sex. In a country where law punishes and outlaws all forms of sex outside of marriage, as well as homosexuality and prostitution, women have only two options for their sexual identities: virgin or wife. Sex and Lies is an essential confrontation with Morocco's intimate demons and a vibrant appeal for the universal freedom to be, to love, and to desire. So, it sounds like a, sexual liberation type of book. Right? The word demons used there. That's interesting. Let's look at a few more of these books. Here's a novel. And Le Diable au Corps, The Devil in the Flesh. That's the translation. Interesting. The Devil in the Flesh. So, this book is an early 1923 novel by Parisian literary prodigy Raymond Radiguet. In the immediate aftermath of World War I, the story of a young married woman who has an affair with a 16-year-old boy while her husband is away fighting at the front, provoking a scandal. Yo! So the book title is The Devil in the Flesh, and it's about statutory rape. That's interesting. Though Radiguet denied it, it was established later that the story was in large part autobiographical. So it actually happened. Critics who initially despised the intense publicity campaign for the book's release, something not normally associated with works of literary merit at the time, were finally won over by the quality of Radiguet's writing and his sober, objective style. It's been adapted several times for television and screening. So this story of statutory rape and infidelity has been applied several times for TV. Interesting. I wonder how many stories are based around this story. The Devil in the Flesh. That's what they wanted to flash real quick on the Olympics. Just give us a quick little glance of their ideology. Here's another one. Les Liaisons Dangereuses. This one, translate Dangerous Liaisons, is a French epistolary novel by Pierre Coderlos de Lachios, first published in 4 volumes in 1782. Fuck, this is old as shit. It's the story of Marquise de Merteuil and the Vicomte de Valmont and some 2 amorous lovers turned rivals who amuse themselves by ruining each other's ruining each other and who ultimately destroy each other. Wow. It has been seen as depicting the corruption and depravity of the French nobility shortly before the French Revolution, and thereby attacking the Ancien regime despite having written nearly a decade prior to those events. What's the Ancien regime? Political and societal system of the Kingdom of France that the French Revolution overturned through its abolition in 1790 of the feudal system of the French nobility. Okay, so the guillotines got rid of the Ancien regime, and this book is celebrating the old regime. That's weird. So it's an epistolary novel. The book is comprised of letters written by various characters to each other. In particular, the letters between Valmont and the Marquise make up the majority of the plot, along with those of Cécile de Volanges and Madame de Tourvel. It has been adapted multiple times, including the successful 1985 play and subsequent award-winning 1988 film adaptation. So also has made it to film. The plot. Let's look at the plot. The Marquise is determined to corrupt the young Cécile de Volanges, whose mother has only recently brought her out of a convent to be married by a previous lover who has discarded her rudely. At the same time, the notorious Vicomte de Valmont is determined to seduce the virtuous married and therefore inaccessible Madame de Tourvel, who is staying with his aunt while her husband is away on a court case. Cecile falls in love and blah, blah, blah. Again, more infidelity, seduction, married people, weird ass shit. So the plots of these books are what is what they're showing us in the first images that we get at the Olympics. First we get the guillotine and the red people in red and all the red going off, and then we get some weird pole fucking flip-floppers, and then we get people in the library and they show us these texts. So that's where we're at right now. And the cover for the book, or whatever this art is creepy. Let's take a look at that. It's an illustration of it. It's crazy, kind of. What's up with that? It's like an angel boy with 2 lights. It's weird. I'm not sure what to make of that art. But yeah, that's part of it. And then we've got, let's see, another book, Le Amant Magnifiques. Amantes in Spanish is like an affair, right? So I could already kind of guess what that means. It's in French, so let's translate bad boy. Translate to English. The Magnificent Lovers. Les Amants Magnifiques is a comedy ballet composed and performed in 1670. Also very old. Interesting. Behind the amusement of a sentimental and romantic plot, two rival princes argue with a young princess who loves a soldier of fortune, without nobility, but not without glory, who saves her from a fierce wild boar and is thus authorized to marry the one he loves. Wait, what? Behind the amusement of a sentimental and romantic plot, two rival princes argue with a young... So two male princes, a prince plural, princes, argue with a young princess, female princess, who loves a soldier of fortune without nobility, but not without glory, who saves her from a fierce wild boar, and is thus authorized to marry the one he loves, which is the princess. Okay. Who's underage? Probably. I would guess everybody's underage in these fucking books. So that's what that is. And this is another one of their fine literature pieces of the French Revolution. This is the best shit that they could come up with. Magnificent lovers. All right. Let's see what other books they got. Romances sans paroles. I'm gonna have to translate this motherfucker too. Translate to English. Romances without words. That's what this book's title is. It's a short collection of poetry written by Paul Verlaine, published in 1874. The poet wanted this collection better express the true vague and the lack of precise meaning projected. What does that mean? The poet wanted in this collection, quotations, better express the true vague and the lack of precise meaning projected. So it's about the vagueness of sexuality. Interesting. And the title's borrowed from a piano piece by a different person. Okay. Verlaine composed the collection during his travels with some other dude over a period of about a year. Romances without words. He went to prison when the book was being printed. What did he go to prison for? I wonder. They made copies. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Analysis. Romances Without Words consecrates Verlaine's complete break with the aesthetics of Parnasse. What is Parnassus? The Parnassus of the Parnassian movement is a poetic movement that appeared in France in the second half of the 19th century. The movement takes its name from the poetic collection Le Poemas Contemporain, published between 1866 and 1876 by the publisher Bobbity Boop, whatever. Influenced by the poetics of Rimbaud, with whom he travels and maintains a romantic relationship. When he composes the poems of the future collection. Okay. So I want to know what the book is about. It's got odd verses. It's got imprints of this and that. Impressionist, current, blah, blah, blah. I don't give a fuck about all this academia, like, word mumbo jumbo bullshit. Just tell me what the fuck the book's about. You know what I mean? There is nothing here about what I'd have to read this. So let's skip that one. I guess I could Google it. Don't really want to. Let's move on to the next book. There's actually a fuckload of books in that, like, very short, like, glances of, like, what they show us in that clip of the Olympics. This book, here, let's translate this page real quick. We Don't Joke with Love. That's the name of this book. It's a play, 3 acts, 1834. So some dude named Musset wrote this play at the age of 24 after a draft, and he moved away from the influence of romantic drama and brought in the presence of failure and death. We don't joke with love. In 1834, Musset left Venice alone after the drama of the breakup with George Sand, when she abandoned him and left with the Dr. Pagello. So she left old boy, went and started a new life with the doctor, so he's crying. More ardent than love between two separated lovers when Musset informs him that he plans to write their story, to build an altar, even with his bones. So this guy's like a delusional romantic. He's disillusioned. Oh, they use the word here, disillusioned. Right? So it's an unfortunate comedy. I guess that's how they're describing this play. A synopsis. Okay, here we go. This one's got a synopsis. The play takes place at Château de Baronne and has a main character, Camille, his niece, an 18-year-old girl who comes out of the convent, and his 21-year-old cousin, Perdican, recently a doctorate. The two young people find themselves, after 10 years of separation, in this castle so dear to their hearts, where they grew up, played, and loved each other as children. The Baron plans to marry the two cousins. Okay, so this one's about incest and loving someone that you grew up with as a child. That's fucking weird. Perdican and Camille have always loved each other, but the latter, educated very strictly by the sisters of the convent and blah, 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 has learned not to trust men. So she made the decision to go back and devote her life to God. Seems like a lot of girls might have been just choosing to go to a convent and hide because men were just up to some weird ass shit in those days. Interesting. Here's a picture of her at 20 years old or something like that. Okay, so this one's about incest and young love and stuff like that. Beautiful book. Okay, now what about this one? One of the more modern books that they show us. Simple Passion by Annie Ernaux. And this is also a translated book. It's in Britain and French. In her spare, stark style, Ernaux documents the desires and indignities of a human heart ensnared in an all-consuming passion. Blurring the line between fact and fiction, an unnamed narrator attempts to plot the emotional and physical course of her 2-year relationship with a married foreigner, where every word, event, and person either provides a connection with her beloved or is subject to her cold indifference. With courage and exactitude, she seeks the truth behind an existence lived entirely for someone else, and in the pieces of its aftermath, she is able to find it. So, another book about infidelity called Simply Passion, about a 2-year relationship with a married foreigner. That's interesting. So this is all like prime ideology, like the stuff that they really want to get in there. They want to flash it at you while you're watching the Olympics. Bel Ami. Here's another book. I told y'all there's a lot of books. Bel Ami, aka Dear Friend, is the second novel by French author Guy de Maupassant. That name is kind of funny as shit. Oh fuck, I'm a clown. Published in 1885, an English translation titled Bel Ami, or The History of a Scoundrel, was also called that. The story chronicles journalist George Duroy's corrupt rise to power from a poor former cavalry NCO in France's African colonies to one of the most successful men in Paris, most of which he achieves by manipulating a series of powerful and intelligent, wealthy women. What the fuck? That's a weird ass book. So it's a dude who grew up and oh fuck, I gotta get comfy for this. Dude grew up as a journalist in Africa who had a corrupt rise to power. He came from poor cavalry in France's African colonies. But then he finesses a bunch of bitches and just climbs straight to the top. That's wild. The novel is set in Paris in the upper middle class environment of the leading journalists of the newspaper something. It tells the story of Georges Duroy, who spent 3 years in military service in Algeria. After working for 6 months as a clerk in Paris, encounter his former comrade, blah, blah, blah. Let's see what else it says here. So, Madame Forrester's drawing room. Duroy becomes the lover of Forrester's friend, Mary de Morel, another influential socialite. Duroy later tries to seduce Madeleine Forrester too, right? But she repulses his sexual advances and offers that they remain friends with ulterior motives. Oh, so she friend zoned him and they're friends with privileges. Interesting. Yeah, stuff about getting married and jealousy and adultery. They get caught in adultery. His wife's adultery to facilitate their divorce. She had him arrested. The police gave him up. Yo, this is wild. Okay, so weird story, all about infidelity. There's a lot of theater adaptations of this. The Wicked World of Bel Ami, a musical in 2 acts adapted by Ken Hill. Mila Czech, a Czech stage version of the story. So there's a lot of different versions of it. Interesting. And let's see what else we got. Yeah, then we get the rest of the images from the actually, I don't want to play that because I'll get copyrighted again. I'm not gonna risk it again. They got me once already. So, but yes, they got the Assassin's Creed head ass fool. They got the decapitated looking shit. Let's go through it a little bit. The rest of the evil imagery.
Maria Antonietta.
So that's what we missed in the beginning. Gojira. It made it all over like Twitter and stuff for being evil. So now let's get to the kind of esoteric imagery stuff. Check this out.
We reached out.
Bitch. Try again.
We reached out to ceasefire. The president doubled down on their decision to part ways with the Olympics. Nothing to do with Christianity.
There's confusion over the Greek representation that was meant by that piece, so probably just checking in a little bit more about the cultural piece that was being pulled into that, but I don't think that it was pulling in the Italian Last Supper art at all.
We reached out to ceasefire. The president and CEO Susie Hayes saying ceasefire is supportive of our athletes who have worked so hard to be a part of the Olympics. However, we will not be a part of the offensive and unacceptable mockery of the Last Supper, which is why we're pulling our advertising from the Olympics. Governor Tate Reeves also went to Twitter standing in full support of ceasefire's decision, saying, "I am proud to see the private sector in Mississippi step up and put their foot down. God will not be mocked." The Olympics started yesterday on Friday. They are expected to end August 11th. Reporting from Clinton, Brooklyn Joyner, 16 WAPT News.
And I mean, in case y'all didn't see the evil images that they were referring to, there's quite a few of them. So I'll post some of them up here. It's quite a few of them. We'll start with this guy here. We won't play them all because I don't want to get copyright strikes. Check this out. A white horse, a pale horse, you know? If you're a Christian people find this like end of days kind of symbology, evil shit, revelations type shit. Right? So that's some of it. What else? What else did they have? So, oh, what's this? I didn't see that. Interesting. Looks like the Eternal Flame, the Assassin's Creed dude on a boat, and some kids. And then we got this, the mocking of the Last Supper thing. So that one's kind of quite obvious, right? There's this fat torta looking bitch sitting right in the middle as Jesus with some CDJs that are not plugged in, by the way. let's see if I can find a zoomed in picture of that. Cause that's hilarious. Real quick. Nah, they're not gonna. Oh, let's just put Olympics Last Supper. We'll get a zoomed in image of that. I want to see the CDJs because I don't think they're plugged in. Yeah, there's no wires connected to that motherfucker. No wires. Why does she have CDJs there? I'm curious. This bitch has a DJM 900 Nexus and two what looks like CDJ 2000 Nexus next to all these other ghoulish creatures and a child. What the fuck? I never even noticed that. There's like a 7-year-old little girl right here. Wow. Interesting. Okay. So that's some of the images that kind of made everyone upset, all the Christians and stuff. And remember, we're trying to stay on the topic of this stuff is like borderline, like kind of satanic, right? It's kind of weird. So it's a very specific topic. We're not trying to get off course into all the other things. Strictly the Luciferian aspect and the weird like postmodern ideology stuff they left in their books there for us. That stuff is kind of weird, you know? So other things that happened during the Olympics, maybe not related at all, but I thought it was worth noting that a lot of weird stuff was happening in France during the Olympics. I noticed that they sabotaged their high-speed rail lines like hours before the Olympics actually began, so I thought that was weird. Let's see if this one does a better job. Oh, yeah, there's the child. Oh, these guys actually pointed out. There's a little girl there. And a dude with his nutsack just hanging out. Interesting. It's weird that this made it like on the mainstream, like the Olympics, you know? Like China didn't have this in their Olympics. They had like, no, it wasn't China. It was, or the last ones. They had some cool drumming and stuff. They didn't have any of this weird ass shit. There's also a bull. I guess there's a bull right here. That's weird. This is Paris 2024. The orchestra. Lady Gaga performed too. Won't be able to play that stuff because they'll just get copyrighted. Then there's this. More kids. Check this out. A lot of like demonic looking figures, goons. And then just children just in there. It's weird, y'all. Oh, fuck. Like, I don't know. It's weird. Like, look, if I love hip hop music, right? I even like Playboy Cardi. But he just went fully satanic, right? Some girls like ratchet music, like Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B and all that. But it went satanic. Some people like heavy metal, but it goes satanic. Some people like the Olympics, but it does this fucking thing too. Like, where does it end? And is it all just for aesthetic? You know, like, is every single one of those things aesthetic? Like, some people just want to be gay. Some people just want to be non-binary. Some people just want to be trans, but they don't want to be satanic. But why is it that the trans movement is also kind of like looking weird like this? Why does everyone look like a ghoul? You know? And they got it. Looks like this post got taken down, but it looks like they also had in the opening a giant Grim Reaper looking creature thing. Here's Russian Olympics versus French Olympics. And that dude in blue, his nutsack is just out. It's just like right there, just. That's wild. So, yes. Oh, here's somebody really zoomed in to the nutsack being out. Check this out. They actually got a zoomed in picture of it. I'll zoom in. Look at that. Nut testicle just literally hanging out on live fucking television for the whole world to see. Ain't that something?
Huge hit for him.
What is this? The last time they had the Olympics in Europe, conspiracies were debunked about them predicting the COVID-19 pandemic. It's a stretch. That was a weak article. Delete. What else? Yeah, Russia. Oh, there was that lady. Celine Dion was singing out of the Eiffel Tower as well. I'm not going to play the audio, but I'll kind of scroll through some of the images. Check out Celine Dion herself. She's looking hella fucking witchcraft looking. Right? Look at her eyes. I always look at Goon's eyes. Like, they always, like, kind of give it away. Look at her. Kind of give it away, don't they? The ghoulish eyes. I'll have to look into her to see if there are any, like, you know, Luciferian connections. But I thought it was interesting that she was singing here after, like, a fuckload of time that she didn't do anything at all. She comes back for this. Interesting, right? Play a tiny little section. whatever. Yeah. So, and then there was a few other disruptions. They cut the power, and then there was also some weird, like, train
We do
sabotaging.
understand that coordinated malicious acts have been targeted at various TGV lines, the fast train lines in France. This is according to the French transport minister. We've got live pictures, I think, coming through of Gare de Montparnasse. So lots of those trying to get around France, either getting away from Paris if they're not keen on the Olympics, or maybe other parts of France. In the run-up to the Olympic Games, that could be difficult. We're seeing as many as, I think it was 800,000 people being affected by this.
As reported by AFP, that number.
Interesting. So that was happening at the same time. And then railways stopped. Macron opened the games while holding the thing. There was a whole thing about shit in the canals too, where the swimmers got sick from getting in the dirty ass water, and the government was trying to hide the fact that the water was disgusting. They were measuring the doo-doo in the water, and it just like never reached like adequate levels. But they were like, nah, fuck it, still swimming it, and they did, and people got sick and threw up. It's crazy. Oh yeah, like check this out. There was actually somebody else noticed the CDJs. The real outrage is the way they hooked up the CDJs. Oh shit. They cut the internet lines too. I wonder who was doing all this sabotaging. They cut the internet lines. Oh, here we go. This is what I was saying. Olympic swimming events in Seine River canceled over water quality concerns. You know? So there's that. But yeah. I apologize for this stream being cut in half. It was supposed to be one stream for both, but it became kind of like two separate streams. One for the Olympics and one for Ice Spice. But yo, I'm about to kill this stream as well. And then I'm going to come back with a stream about everything. All current events. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, thank you guys for continuing to listen. Even though I got a copyright strike. The next one is going to be about the hurricane. Current events. Stuff happening with the government. Based around disaster stuff.